Hi there. Gnosticism and the intimations. An intimation means a hint or a suggestion of something. And intimations that a storm is coming or something like that. Intimations of immortality, as the poem has title. Um, and I suppose intimations of immortality is a good title for this presentation. um, Intimations of spirit, I suppose one could say as well. And I've identified five main categories of these intimations. Um, and the first category it refers to spirit, uh, which is um, which is uncreated flashes of light. Um, Traditionally in Kabbalah, it's talked about in Malkut, which is the kingdom, which is this physical world that we live in. Sometimes there occur flashes of Keter, of the appearance of manifested Keter, which is the crown, which is the spiritual realm. And it's said that, sometimes you can see flashes of light. And this light is a very strange light because it doesn't seem to be light from the sun or from the stars or from the moon or from a torch or any man made device or occurrence. They come unbidden. You're going on with your life and suddenly you see these flashes before you. Sometimes they occur in groups, sometimes they occur individually, and sometimes you see them out of the corner of your eye as you're looking at something else or looking at nothing in particular. Of course, I know what you're going to say. You're going to say, well, if you wear glasses, then this is what they call internal reflection. That light is trapped in the outer bit of the lens, and you see it from the corner of your eye. Also, you can say that if you see a flash on the ground, it could be a bottle that you haven't seen, and the sunlight's being reflected off the surface of the glass, or it can be the flash of light on a windscreen of a passing car in the distance, and or it could be that. Uh, well, yeah, there could be a physical explanation for these flashes of light, or simply just a trick of sunlight, as one might say. But at any rate, the tradition is that there are flashes of light that appear, and you take the meaning as being an intimation of the spiritual realm, because they are unbidden. The point about it is that you don't consciously try to see these flashes of light, and whatever their origin, whether they're physical or spiritual, as I might say, you take it. You take the experience as being a spiritual indicator or an indicator of some of the spiritual realm. So you can, the meaning that you take from the experience is the most important thing, whether or not it comes from some physical or spiritual source or metaphysical source. And I think that's very true of a lot of things. Be careful about phenomena, astral phenomena. Even they have a physical cause because the astral plane has been created by the demiurge. So basically, if you experience astral phenomena, you're not out of the woods yet, as it were, because you're not at the on the spiritual plane. The astral phenomena have their source in the demiurge, the lord of physicality, the lord of the lower worlds, as it were. And if other things happen, experiences happen to you, which are as a result of some kind of trick of starlight or moonlight or sunlight through trees or whatever, it's that's okay as well. Don't think about the source of the experience. Think about the meaning of the experience instead. That's the most important thing to bear in mind. and to use as a source of contemplation. And because I think the light from the supernal, from the spiritual realms, is called light in inverted commas, because in fact it is an experience which is totally beyond our comprehension, beyond our experience, and yet we will know it when we see it. We will know it when we experience it, which I suppose is another side of Gnosticism. Gnosis, comes to us from nowhere as special knowledge. But the special knowledge extends to the spiritual realm in the sense that, things that happen on the spiritual realm, which people call light and freedom and music of the spheres and angels and whatever, they're just in inverted commas because they're all words that refer to the lower worlds, of course, because we can't do anything else but take our experience of the physical world and the astral world and sort of pin it on the spiritual realms. But in fact, phenomena, in inverted commas, if they occur at all, they occur in a way that's utterly beyond our comprehension, and yet, through the blessing of gnosis, of special knowledge, we will know it when we see it. We will experience it. We'll say, aha, this truly is of the spiritual realms and not of the lower worlds. So, uncreated flashes of spiritual light may occur. You may experience those one way or another. And so that's an important category, but not a category that you should take too much notice of. And in fact, all these categories, they're all they're all lower worlds. They have their source in the lower worlds. You know, for example, the you know obviously the sexual attraction. We have a glimpse of images which are sexually attractive to us. One might almost say fetishistic, in that they suddenly arrest you as being incredibly sexually attractive. The human body is a beautiful thing, and a miracle in itself, obviously. Miraculous, beautiful, and sexually attractive, according to your sexual orientation and gender, and degree to which you are sexual, I suppose. But to whatever degree you are sexual, you will be, you'll find something suddenly very beautiful. It'll hit you. Um, One might almost say, you catch a glimpse of something. A glimpse of stocking can be shocking, as the old Cole Porter lyric has it. And it's a glimpse of stocking. It's something which you're not staring at somebody in a sort of perverted kind of way, but you catch sight of someone's attractive face. Um, in a crowded room, and suddenly it really hits you, and it's this sort of hitting you. It's this surprise that you weren't expecting it, you weren't looking for it. It suddenly hits you between the eyes. It hits you between the eyes. It affects your third eye, and you have a kind of an ecstatic experience of something which is very attractive, physically attractive. So again, it's this physical attraction. The source is physical, all right. And of course, obviously bear in mind that sexual attractiveness doesn't mean a thing, because it's the inner life of the individual that's important. It's if they are, if they are beautiful inside. That's what the main thing about what makes someone really attractive. If they're compassionate, if they're ethical, if they're artistic, if they're sensitive, if they have good manners, then this is what should attract you, not just the sexual image. But nevertheless, sometimes somebody you find beautiful really is beautiful inside, and it could be that that you are seeing the spark of spirit within them projected out onto your concept of what beauty is. So that's another important category, and very, very rooted in physicality and in sexuality, and in what and in an attraction to beauty, physical beauty, and roundness and softness and color and even smell. Also coming on to beauty, I mean, the musical concurrent occurrences of harmony, the harmony between two pitches that are played simultaneously, and whether it's modern harmony or classical harmony or Renaissance harmony. Again, it suddenly hits you. But sometimes also when pitches change, but when pitches rise in a certain way, that can suddenly grab hold of your heart and wrench it open. And many wonderful pieces of music have the effect of making one go into ecstasy as a result of hearing them. And again, you're not expecting to be this roused, as it were, or emotionally connected to a piece of music, but it suddenly hits you. And there's plenty of music, and of course it depends on your taste. So there's plenty of examples in your life, perhaps, of music that has had this effect on you, that is hinting towards something other and something greater than oneself. And so onto mystic symbols. It's a strange one, but like if you take a piece of paper, a sheet of blank paper, and you draw a line on it, you divide that void, that space, that white space, into various parts or areas or features. You create feature where there was none. And I've always been very attracted to symbols which are supposedly mystic, which presumably have come into existence through the stimulation of the inner eye. Um, but again, of course, and people have attribute meaning to various symbols that have, through association, um, produced an effect, like the Calvary cross, for example, and or the swastika, or um, other or spirals or things like that. They have an effect on us through association and perhaps even through race memory as well. And I've always been fascinated by mystic symbols, so called. To me, most mystic symbols, if not all of them, are represent kind of portals or doorways, and doorways are decorated or actual structure of the door is indicated by the symbol itself, and somehow its connection to antiquity is important as well. Not that it makes any difference about antiquity. It doesn't matter whether a symbol is very ancient. It's not that. It's the meaning that you ascribe to that symbol. That whenever you see it, it transports you. It opens a door within inside yourself whenever you see the symbol, and it makes you receptive, perhaps to intimations of gnosis. Even I'm not saying that a symbol will take you to gnosis necessarily. All I'm just saying is that it'll have some effect on you, which could be Gnostic. Gnostic and not in the source exactly. So again, the symbol may just be arbitrary, obviously. So that's not the source, but it may point you in the direction of the spiritual realm, even though the symbol itself is not important, or even its associations, or even the fact that it's a portal. that will be the source, but it'll speak to you of a future state of being when you're spiritual, when you're beyond symbols, obviously. So some people worship symbols, but there's always been a bit of a controversy about this, and there's a Christian movement early in the Christian movement called the iconoclasts that went around breaking all symbols because they said people were worshipping the symbol, and they weren't contemplating the miracle of Christ. For example, they were just worshipping the cross, which is not what which is not what a symbol should inspire. It shouldn't inspire idolatry. And there's a degree of materialism comes into it, isn't there? But, people look at a symbol and they turn it into gold and silver and diamonds and make it into a work of art, which is inspiring, all right, but it can be that these works of art, these gold crosses and silver and diamond crosses or whatever, become the things of value in the material world, and people fight over them and steal them and I don't know, kill for them, or I don't know what all. So it can be a source of corruption, obviously, because it is of this world, And so the iconoclasts had a point. So it's you have to be careful with symbols, but drawing them or making symbols yourself is a good idea. And there's also the Buddhist idea of making symbols in sand, and then you destroy the, you just wipe away the symbol on the sand, and it's supposed to represent impermanence. That's true of this world, obviously, but you can't become attached to something that you know is going to be destroyed. So I could just wipe all my videos, for example, away, take my channel down myself before YouTube, Google management do it for me, which they would like to probably. But before they do that, I could do it, and that would be like an example of an expression of non-attachment to my work, and even non-attachment on my viewers' part as well, because whatever the source of the spiritual is other and greater than the source of our understanding of it, if that makes any sense. Um, so then we come to the last thing, which is arresting architecture. Architecture, what I mean by architecture is both architecture of nature, natural architecture, and human architecture. And Heidegger said that architecture was poetry solidified, which is a beautiful axiom, beautiful aphorism rather. And and sometimes I see it's not just beauty, though. There's sometimes mysteriousness associated with architecture. Again, the rustle and the hedgerow. There's something mysterious and intimatory about mysterious things that happen in nature. But when I first began contemplating these categories, I had in mind, when I'm not sure whether you have this in the USA because all your buildings are rather modern, but sometimes you could work with modern buildings as well. But you have the idea of something mysterious inside a building. And I've often experienced, driving past a house, for example, big or little, and you suddenly have this, suddenly imagine that there's somebody living in that house who has tremendous spiritual knowledge. And for example, I was there's a little house in Bathampton, England, near the bridge which connects the two valleys together, which takes you from Bathampton to Bath. It's a very little narrow bridge, and I think around about there is this little house, and it looks like a little witch's house. And there's something very mysterious about it and very attractive, and you feel that there's somebody living there who knows something, who's a sort of wise person or magical person or even a fairy person lives there. And probably they don't. And this is one thing to bear in mind, obviously, because they live in the lower worlds. And if you probably knocked on their door and said, "Are you a theosophist or are you a Gnostic?" They probably send you away with a flea in your ear. In your ear, get out of my garden. You're mad. Or if you're in America, they probably shoot you, wouldn't they? So, anyway, so obviously one has to be careful about going into people's buildings and saying, oh, this is a mystical experience source, because people might not like you saying that, or might not like you being in there on their property. So be careful about that. But from a distance, from afar, architecture can arrest you. And I suppose it's a bit like being seeing a beautiful person. I mean, obviously, you can't just go up to someone and say you're really beautiful or something. They'll think you're weird. But so you can't say anything or do anything. You can just be attracted within yourself, or you can be arrested by the beauty of architecture or the mysteriousness of some building that you've seen, that makes you wonder about who lives there. But of course, what it really means, it's hinting, or it's the architecture or the person's body or the beautiful music. It's really, you are taking meaning from this experience of whatever you're looking at or smelling or tasting, or even tasting. I suppose there's some, I was going to add here perfumes and food. Some food makes you very has an intimation of spirituality about it. So like for me, couscous, is I love couscous, and there are some, it it makes me kind of ecstatic somehow. I don't know why. There's nothing very significant about couscous, really. It's grown all over the world, but there it is, and lot of perfumes and colours, silver moonlight, or jasmine or something like that, or musk. Sometimes these things that you smell can take you back through a chain of associations into your past, into your childhood, even, and you come not to the house of the Father except by being a child. So, that children have more contact with the spiritual than adults have. So sometimes perfumes and colors and even sounds will take you back to an age of innocence, an age of appreciation of beauty, and a objective and ecstatic connection with beauty, whatever you think is beauty. Of course, the problem with beauty is that beauty can also be socially determined. So, in that sense, it becomes very much a lower world thing because it's not based on spiritual, it's based on social things. So, these things are not things in themselves. But they're kind of like pointers. They point you in the direction of the spiritual world, no matter what the source of the experience is. The source will definitely be from the lower worlds, obviously, if it's perfume or some kind of astral experience. But it may signpost you towards something other and greater than yourself. And that's what's important. That's what intimation means. It's a hint. It's a hint of something other, even though of itself it'll ultimately prove of little significance or value. Even the value lies in what it does to you spiritually, rather than anything else. So, in a way, this teaching about categories of intimation is a slightly controversial one, really, and you could get lost in being attractive to sexual beauty or architecture or music, or looking for these little spots of light, or symbols. You could be writing symbols all day, like my little doodles here, and you could get rather obsessed and lost, and end up in perhaps in a worse state of mind than if you'd never looked for these things. So be careful with this. As I say, the main thing is that these things should not be sought after. They will come to you in their own good time, and they will go away quickly, and they will They will leave you with a little feeling that there is something other and greater than yourself, but you won't be kind of obsessed with finding it. You'll just be you'll wear you'll wear the experience lightly, like a set of clothes that you can take off, all the sand yantras of Buddhism, which they can just you know brush away after they've finished doing them. And that's very important to bear in mind. But you know, the other thing to bear in mind, of course, is phenomena are phenomena, and the spiritual lies beyond the phenomenal. So that means that definitely means that these phenomena are not things to be worshipped in themselves. They are pointing you towards something which is beyond your conception, based as it is on this world, but something which you will know when you see, you will know when you experience, which is the other side of gnosis.